Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Shaka Hinsel, Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol. We thought last night was dramatic at the Bernabeu. What about today then in Paris? Manchester United beating PSG by 3-1. It was the perfect start for United. A gift at the back saw Lukaku make it 1-0. However, Bernat got the equaliser for PSG. But then, on the half-hour mark, it was Buffon who spilled a Rashford shot, Lukaku making it 2-1. And late on, a controversial penalty was awarded after a handball in the box. Marcus Rashford steps up, takes the spot kick, scores, meaning that Manchester United advance to the quarter-finals on the away goal rule.
Wow.
We were surprised last night.
2 nights in a row.
Sat here after Ajax did what they did to Real Madrid. There's a big argument, isn't there, to say this is even a bigger shock, considering not only were PSG such big favourites going into this with a 2-0 lead, but Manchester United, it was a reserve team almost.
It was a reserve team and it was depleted and it was demolished at Old Trafford by this PSG side when it had pretty much a full-strength team. But thinking about this, how we're going to approach it, if last night I mentioned arrogance for Real Madrid, this is European football's greatest bottlers. They're the biggest bottle job of Europe's elite because, and you mentioned it, they find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. They had the possession, they had the players, but they didn't have on tonight, they didn't have the know-how, the final quality, and the bottle to see it out. And Tuchel is just another coach that is going to have to take responsibility for one of the biggest shambles that this club probably has seen for a while with the billions that they've spent.
I know, and the thing is, they've set the standard quite high when it comes to shambles in this competition, in that they are just serial chokers, it's seen. You take it back, of course, to Barcelona a couple of years ago, that 4-goal difference that they just threw away. Once again, they are knocked out in the round of 16. This is embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we thought the Barcelona result would never be topped. But this has to top it, just because it's Manchester United's reserve team. And you look at it and you think, well, where does the blame lie? And the truth is, it lies 50% with the players on the field and 50% with Tuchel.
Right.
You know, the first two goals are shocking. Kehrer is nervous and plays a horrible back pass. The second goal, why are you playing your second-string goalkeeper in the round of 16 in the Champions League? And it's just being too clever. Try to be too nice. The best managers in the world would cut your throat as soon as they look at you, if needed. And Tommy Tuchel tonight has cost PSG with that one decision. One decision. You play your top goalie, and that doesn't happen.
See, now I'm questioning whether the Buffon signing was Tommy Tuchel or this was PSG hierarchy wanting to bring in a big-name goalkeeper in a department that they feel they've struggled. Yet they bring in, albeit at his best, one of the best that the game has ever seen, but at the wrong side of his career. And now, as you mentioned, Steve, you've got Buffon and Areola who split the league games down the middle half-half. You've got Buffon coming in to a high-pressure situation, and I don't... not adding anything to this team and on the face of it, as we sit now, actually taking away from PSG. How did Buffon improve PSG of last season is simply beyond me.
Generous markings as well.
By the way,
you have to say, have Verratti and Bernat get a 7, considering that PSG just lost at home.
And by the way, there's another bottle job, Di Maria, right? Swans around League On, didn't have the stomach for the Man United gig in the Premier League because Man United were struggling at the time. And as a big player, when you go to a club and the club's struggling, you got to roll your sleeves up even more and show your quality. And he couldn't wait to get out of there. And he goes to League On and he's swanning around and showing off the talent that they know he's got. They're 17 points clear with a game in hand, so effectively 20. But when him and his mates are wanted on the real big occasion, against a poor United side on the night, they couldn't do it. I mean, I don't know where else to go with this, but the fact is, why the hell are they writing cheques anymore for this club? For what? To win League On? There's no sign of them winning this Champions League. No sign whatsoever.
Do you think we got duped because they were so good against Manchester United at Old Trafford? Did we get duped? Because you look at that team and you take Mbappe out of it, where's the flair? You know, Draxler's not fantastic. Di Maria's a bottler, as Craig said. You got Bernat, who's a fullback. Your two midfielders, Marquinhos and Verratti, are better going the other way. They're not guys you want in the edge of the box, try to play little balls in behind or be clever. So where's actually the flair? I think we might have got duped with this team.
No, not only the
Old
flair,
Trafford.
Stevie, but where's the personalities? Where's the leadership in this side? Oh, okay, Mbappe's not having his best day ever, yet still, he's the only one who seems to be shouting around to the rest of the team, let's keep calm, let's keep our heads about us, because all you needed was somebody with a little bit of leadership, a little bit of respect, and a little bit of voice, because at 2-1, they're going through. At 2-1, you put it down to this being a bad day, but somehow we get into the next round and we fix it. Yet still, they can't do that. And I'm not putting all the blame on Kimpembe's doorstep here. Ultimately, he's the one who conceded the penalty. But again, you look at that dressing room, devoid of real leadership. Neymar is not a leader. We need somebody who can stand up and be counted when the team isn't playing well. PSG don't have
I
that.
can have no complaints about Kimpembe. Do you think?
No.
That's the thing. There is a big debate going on, certainly.
Where?
Some pundits back in the UK are saying that it's not a penalty. We
It's
played
a
a piece of
penalty.
I tell you what,
all day long.
90% back in the UK haven't got a Scooby, they just play along. I mean, let's be honest, there should be it's a penalty alone with the arm coming out for turning your back. It's cowards, you don't...
Yeah.
As a kid, right, you've got to... Whether it hits you in the face or the chest or somewhere a bit more painful, whatever it is, you've got to take it. There's nothing in the laws of the game that says you should be raising your hand to protect yourself from a ball that's going to hit you. And certainly not when you're turning your back completely on that ball. So there's no complaints there. The fact that VAR alerted the referee to that, because it might have been difficult to see at full speed, and then he went over, and fair play, he took his time, because it was a huge call at a huge time, but he absolutely got it right. But what about the other scenario for Tuchel here? And I'm not absolving him of blame here. You've got an argument between the club and the sporting director about whether Rabiot can play or not over the last few weeks, and the outcome is he can't. Right, a multi-talented midfield player who gets you goals, can win tackles, and is certainly better in there than the players that they've got, certainly Marquinhos, because he's a defender. But because he wants to leave PSG, as if it's the only club that exists in European football, they've spat their dummy out. Now, I'm not saying that's the difference, but attitudes like that are not going to help managers or help teams when you've got injuries, and they have had injuries in key positions like the centre of the park.
So just to go back to the handball for a minute, if me as a goalkeeper, I'm approaching a striker who's coming at me, I leave my hands out wide.
Yep.
Intentionally. Because I want to make my body bigger, I want to make it more difficult for the striker to score. But I'm allowed to use my hands. So now if Kimpembe is
Why didn't you?
Well, I should have thought of that before. So now if Kimpembe knows a shot is coming in, and he starts with his hands out wide, as a goalkeeper would, and it strikes his arm, he can have no complaint when the referee points to the spot. Don't feign innocence at this point for me, because this is what I should have practiced to do when I was playing, yet still now you're doing it at this level as a defender, and somehow you feel aggrieved when the referee points to the spot? No, it's a penalty all day, every day.
As soon as you turn your back, you lose control. So he has no excuse. If he stays solid, he's a good 5 yards away from the strike. If you stay solid and you keep your hands by your side and you're in control of what's coming, regardless of whether it's going to hit you in the face or not, you're in control. As soon as you turn around and take your eyes off the ball, you turn your body, you lose control. And it hits his arm. It's a penalty kick.
Solskjaer, eh?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's just remind you of the players that weren't available. Paul Pogba was suspended, and a whole list of injuries as well.
Key players.
We were looking at the bench, and there were players that...
Well, look at it. Pogba, rejuvenated.
Never heard of.
Pogba, rejuvenated. Darmian, squad player. Herrera, rejuvenated under Solskjaer. Lingard, rejuvenated. Martial, the same. Matic, the same. And I'll add a caveat to that. They lost Eric Bailly in, 30-odd minutes?
Yeah.
And so there's another
Which was a
injury.
bonus because he was having a shocker.
Well, it might help because they changed shape and they went back to your back four. But it is another injury to add to that. I mean, to get...
It's a bunch of kids at the end.
Yeah.
So,
So how much
that makes it
credit
even
do
worse.
you give Solskjaer for this?
well.
Listen, you've got to give them credit because they were organised. I think, the credit for me, as much as anything, belongs to Rashford and Lukaku. I mean, what they did tonight, both sides of the ball, was incredible. I mean, they were sharp enough. Normally when you're doing that much work defensively, it takes away from what you do going forward, takes that edge, that sharpness away. But for the 90 minutes, they were on their toes, just waiting for any little mistake, which made it harder for PSG. But really, PSG, at the end of the game, were playing against a bunch of kids, and they didn't have the composure of the leadership or any normal things that you associate with a real football team to keep the ball and kill the game. They got outdone by a bunch of kids. Never mind just the starting lot that were the reserves. They finished up getting done by kids.
We were looking at the bench, and probably the only name we really recognised was Rojo that Solskjaer could call on. But to Stevie's point about Rashford and Lukaku, again, I thought it was outstanding. I'd like to give Solskjaer credit. One, playing two up front. Okay, you have to go and you have to go and win the game. So maybe you understand that, but you tell Lukaku go and play right on the shoulder of your centre half, which is what brought the first goal, and then the second goal. I feel that if you're not enjoying a whole lot of possession of the ball, when you do get it, you don't take a shot from 25 yards unless the manager tells you put this keeper under pressure.
Right.
He used to be great, but put him under pressure, and that's exactly what Rashford did. Right? He had no reason other than somebody saying to him, take Buffon on to try that shot when he did. Buffon made a mess of it, and Lukaku following in again. I think, as we sit here, I believe those are messages that came from the manager. I'm giving Solskjaer full credit for that.
It's not Solskjaer's fault that PSG made a pig's ear of it.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
It's want to credit Solskjaer and United. This is about PSG.
It is about PSG's mistakes, but he's gone in there with, young McTominay, who's not got much experience, with Fred in the middle of the park, who's been hopeless. So it's a complete reshuffle. And so he needed those things to go his way. But he also, as Stevie said, he needed people to be on their toes.
Right.
On their toes defensively and on their toes for getting some scraps. Now, over the years, you probably can't legislate for that from Buffon. From young Kehrer, it's an experience thing from him. He's made a poor decision. Then United have hung in. But I tell you, honestly, I can't tell you how much credit I would give to Rashford for the penalty kick. Because we've seen... we've seen the message that's where...
And there was a lot of tomfoolery beforehand. Bernat was messing around. The referee was being
It was a brilliant... And that sounds simplistic. Because somebody tweeted to me the other day, players should get paid millions, they should just score penalties. Yeah. It's not that simple, and particularly when the pressure's on, and boy was it on there. And I thought it was absolutely great composure from the young man.
But they did have the opportunity to kill the game, PSG. And the guy that you absolutely want going through on the goalkeeper, one-on-one. I don't think it was one of us thought anything else was going to happen other than the ball was going in the back of the net. And he slips and falls.
How does Tuchel
changes it?
I mean, who was it? It was Unai Emery, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a hard sell to the boardroom.
Yeah.
What's he going to say? I need a complete revamp again? How's he going to sell this?
Well, PSG then out of the Champions League, United through to the final 8, and they are fourth favourites now to win the whole thing. 10-1 according to the bookies. It says City rivals Manchester City, who are favourites. There was drama in Portugal as well today. Remember, it was 2-1 in Italy after the first leg, and Porto would get the opening goal in their clash against Roma. Roma, though, then with the equaliser from the spot. Porto getting a second, though, which had forced extra time. Late drama as VAR intervened to suggest the referee should take a look at a possible penalty. The penalty awarded. Porto convert it. Porto then through to the quarter-finals. Roma out. We've got Ajax, Spurs, United and Porto guaranteed then a place in the next round. Atletico Madrid, of course, take on Juve. Atletico with that 2-0 lead going into Turin. City with a 3-2 lead against Schalke for that game in England. Goalless between Lyon and Barca, and Liverpool and Bayern Munich. It's crazy, isn't it? Because...
I mean, if Schalke and Lyon knock those... if Schalke and Lyon knock those two sides out, then it is bonkers.
Well, it's Europa League time.
It's already bonkers.
It's not quite Europa League. But, steady.
But when VAR was first talked about being brought in, it was kind of like, well, it's there'll be no more debate. Everything will be this, that, and the other. And that is what everyone's talking about.
Well, first of all, it was a ridiculous expectation that once VAR comes in, there'll be no more debate and every decision will be 100%. Because ultimately, it is somebody looking at the replay and still having to subject and use their own opinion to make a decision. So you will always have these debate points, especially once teams and biases become involved. But at times, you still have to question that. You look at some of the decisions and you question.
So we're talking about that late incident in the
late incident,
game, yeah,
right?
Where there could have been a penalty awarded after Porto scored.
The Porto penalty, I thought, for the shield pulling, yes, no question, a penalty. The late one for Roma, Stevie pointed out, clip on the heels inside of the box. That needs to be reviewed. And if you take a long, hard look at that, I'm not sure how you come away saying you got it right on the field, play on. I think whoever is doing VAR in that incident bottled it.
But VAR's still cleaning up the game or the decisions more so than not, because, you know, take that incident alone, the ref didn't give the penalty and then VAR decided nothing was going to happen. So that decision didn't change.
Yeah.
But there are other decisions, rightly or wrongly, there are other decisions that have been changed for the right result, like the penalty kick and the PSG game.
Yeah.
So it's never, and we've never said it's going to be a perfect science, but it's better, well, I think it's better than just relying on human decision-making there and then.
I think it's great. I'm a huge fan of it. But whilst there are humans involved, and
that's the thing, isn't it?
That you're always going to get it. I mean, the referee in the Roma one, Porto, is like 30 yards away with players in front of him. So it's absolutely the job of the guy behind VAR to alert him and at least tell him to have a look.
What's Florenzi doing, Stevie? You know you're going to get caught with that shirt. It's so clear. It's so obvious.
Listen, when you do that as a defender, you have to be 100% sure that your man's going to get on the end of it.
Right.
And if you think that, you're doing that hoping that nobody sees it. Now, obviously, with VAR, it's even harder now. But that's what he's doing.
See, VAR's not exciting for the people in the ground, but it is. We were sat in the green room when, obviously, that was a big call last minute. And we were sat, and once he went over at the monitor, we were going, he's going to give it. No, he's not.
Yeah.
We're all going, right, no, he's going to rule it out. No, he's got. So, for people watching, I think that's quite, particularly if you're a Man United fan, it's quite entertaining.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, the big argument is if you're at the ground and it's not on the big screen, if you haven't got one, then it can be a bit tedious for fans. But is it really that bad, though,
to get the decision
to
right?
get the decision correct? But I know at home, watching on TV, it's very entertaining.
As is extra time.
Sometimes.
See that link? We'll be talking about Champions League a lot more there. Be sure to join us over on the website. There's a strong argument to say that this has been Real Madrid's worst week ever. Out of the Copa del Rey, of course, with that home defeat against Barcelona, followed by any chances of winning La Liga, distinguished by, once again, Barcelona, and then, of course, that humiliation at home against Ajax in the Champions League. Sid Lowe with us. Sid, who's getting the blame? Perez, the players, or Solari? No, who's getting most of the blame out of those three?
I'm glad you made that correction, because you were right. The answer is a bit of everybody.
Yeah.
I think, in truth, actually, Solari's not getting a huge amount of the blame, because I think there's a recognition that here's a guy who came in a situation of crisis. Here's a guy who came into a situation that was very difficult for him to change. He made one or two key changes which seemed to have improved things, but the underlying problems remained. I think there has been quite a lot of pointing the finger at Florentino Perez, although, in truth, certainly from a media point of view and from the point of view of some fans groups, those were people that were already inclined to blame him. I think a lot has been said, of course, about the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of blaming players. Well, we had Marcelo a few weeks ago, but he hasn't been blamed for this. There's been a bit of focus on Bale, although not so much in this last game. There's been a bit of focus on Toni Kroos. And, of course, there's been some focus on Sergio Ramos, who got himself that yellow card in the first leg deliberately to miss the second leg because, of course, he thought this was a foregone conclusion. And in that decision, I think you see encapsulated part of the problem for Real Madrid. That sense that this was done is perhaps one of the reasons why it wasn't done.
So what happens next, Sid? Obviously, Santi won't last. Will they give him till the end of the season and then bring in Mourinho in the summer?
Well, what we do know is that Real Madrid are discussing whether or not it's worth acting now, whether there's any sense in doing so. I must confess, My sense on this is, well, what's the point? You know, what's the point of bringing in another manager now who gets burnt between now and the end of the season? Look, to put this into context for you, by the way, Real Madrid are out of all 3 competitions the day before their birthday, the 6th of March. What that means is that basically it will now be 6 months before Real Madrid play a game that matters into the first couple of weeks of next season. 6 months. So obviously they can bring a manager in for the last 3 basically irrelevant months of this season, unless of course things get so bad that they have to fight for that final Champions League place, which I don't think any of us expect that to happen. But then none of us really expected this either. So I don't really see the need to change Solari unless they suddenly see that in danger, or unless they feel that there's someone they want to bed in. But I just don't think you bed in a manager in this kind of circumstance. So my guess is that he stays to the end of the season, or someone else does in some sort of caretaker fashion, and then they get someone in the summer. Don't forget that when they announced Solari, they officially announced him as temporary manager, and only changed that status because league and federation rules forced them to.
Quickly, Sid, we've got like 20 seconds. Mourinho, yes or no? Is it going to happen?
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Oh, there we go. That's very short for you, Sid Lowe. Thank you very much for your time, as always, Sid. A lot more reaction to what happened in the Spanish capital available over on the website. And you can join us tomorrow. Europa League, of course, is here tomorrow. You can join the boys. They'll be looking back at the opening leg of those knockout matches. Live MLS soccer for you this weekend. Atlanta United's home opener taking on New Boys FC Cincinnati. That game live on ESPN at 5 p.m. Eastern. Let's check out what happened in the CONCACAF Champions League. Did I put enough CACAF here? Yeah. Last night, Red Bulls taking on Santos. Not a good game for the hosts. 3 minutes before the break, Diego Valdez makes it 1-0 Santos.
It's a real nice strike from the top of the box. Just a little ball, nothing too special about it, but he finds space. They finish though.
And they would not start the second half well either, as Santos make it 2-0.
Yeah, they're a little fortunate. This is a missed touch for me.
The Red Bulls with it all to do in that second leg in Mexico, losing 2-0. Meanwhile, not a good evening either for Houston Dynamo. Liga MX opposition for them as well, taking on Tigres. This one goalless up until the 78th minute when Enner Valencia makes it 1-0.
Yeah, it's a really nice finish from Enner Valencia. Tigres moved the ball really well. Quinones picks up Valencia with that nice little slide rule ball. Good goal.
9 minutes to go in the game. Quinones makes it 2-0. Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great finish. Just gets a little fortunate. His first touch comes off the defender. He gets back to him, but no problem with that one. Right into the roof of the net.
Tigres then very much in control going into the second leg. There was Liga MX action as well. Club America with that game in hand take on Necaxa. 5 minutes into this one, it's Club America who would take the lead. Things going as you would expect them to. Henry Martin making it 1-0.
Yeah, from Ali Moreno range. The cross into the box, a hopeful one. Defender makes an absolute mess of it. Martin just taps in.
The host would then just fall apart in the second half. It was quite incredible. Just 8 minutes into after the break, Calderon makes it 1-1.
Yeah, it's a lovely ball through the middle. Centre back all over the shot and a good finish.
Goalkeeper here, take a look at his touch.
Uh-oh.
Oh. And it's Brian Fernandez who makes it 2-1.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what Marquezine is thinking. I mean, it's bad a touch as you will ever see, and then the clearance just into the boot and goodness.
So then he's up looking to be their hero.
Right, come on.
Here he is then, 2-1. And then it's an open goal. The Cats are looking to make it 3-1. The defender can't get a hold of the ball. Goalkeeper's running back. There he is, look.
Not very far.
He's still running back, the Cats are there with the goals, bringing a big surprise there. Beating Club America by 3-1, moving up to 5th in the table. Meanwhile, it was the last round of matches in the She Believes Cup for the US women's side. They haven't exactly set the world alight in this competition up to now. They would, though, get the win against Brazil. Just a 1 goal, and it would come in the 20th minute. Heath with the strike.
Yeah, it's Heath who started this well, just about into her own half. Long run, mazy run. Nobody can touch her, and then picks out a good pass, and then follows it. And look at that for a finish.
So the US with a 1-0 win, their first win in this competition. It was England, though, who are the champions. Let's take a look at the trophy lift. Celebrations for them. A lot of eyes on the Lionesses going into the World Cup, which of course kicks off in just 3 months' time. Many people have asked me to get your opinion on this goal, Stephen. This is Mason Bett.
I wonder why.
In the Derby game.
I wonder why.
What a goal.
Well,
Winner as well.
I think I'm 100% sure he didn't mean that, but Mark Edworthy...
See, this is where you talk.
He helps it on. He could do that 1,000 times and never... he'd never get it on target.
Goodness, Steve.
Championship football continues on Friday. Norwich taking on Swansea. That game here on Plus at 2:40 Eastern. Jesse Lingard, you boys were like, that's a bit over the top.
He must be on a bonus, isn't he?
That's brilliant. That's
Quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Sat at home, can do nothing about it.
Yeah. Watch it as a fan.
And
Not
not
expecting
expecting a
anything.
thing. Before the ball is kicked, you think, yeah, we
Sitting
are.
with a bowl of ice cream.
With ice cream at the moment. Can Tuchel survive this? The other side? Is he...
Yeah, I
You think
think
it's all right?
he'd be given an...
Why?
Because Unai Emery survived his. He was given one more year. And I think similarly with Tuchel, he'd be given one more year, another repeat of this kind of shambles, and he suffer a similar fate to Unai Emery.
If you're the owners, right, what are you thinking? You mean your head must be clouded. You must be sitting going, "What? Why are we putting all this money into this?" Because every year it just falls apart. They must be wondering what's
So
going
Tuchel
on.
stays or go if you were the owner?
It's a hard one, isn't it?
How can he stay? Is that acceptable?
Unai Emery lost the league
That's not
and
acceptable.
capitulated in Champions League and somehow still
That's
survived.
Tuchel.
I think
That's not acceptable.
Tuchel survives.
I tell you what, as bad as Mourinho was,
Why?
he's lucky the way certain jobs might be falling. Because his people will have their tentacles into all these clubs that might be looking for a proven manager, and he is that.
All right, that's it. The end of the show. Craig's off for some ice cream. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye. Champions League's boring, isn't it? Nothing ever happens in that.
Rubbish.
Crikey, O'Reilly. Too bad Julian is not on tonight, is he?
He's hiding.
What's he going to do now for the rest of the
When he
season?
come on this show wearing a crash helmet.
Do you know he didn't go to the game?
Did he not?
He said he wasn't going to go to the game because it was over.
Oh, no.
Well, it
Oh,
was.
it's over.
It was over.
Yep.
He's texting Nay,
Yeah, text him, Nate.
texting his mate.
Any more birthday parties?
Who should be more embarrassed? Real Madrid losing to a young Ajax side at home, or PSG losing at home to a very depleted United side, putting 18-year-olds out on the pitch? Good question.
Well, I think-
Who's that the worst?
Yeah,
hours.
well, I think, Real Madrid have been, to put it another way, a bag of spanners most of the year.
Yep.
And you don't know what you're going to get from them. At least PSG, albeit in Ligue 1, are consistent as they have been most years. So I think this result tonight, which would be the United one, is
Yeah.
more, because Ajax played some great stuff. We're allowed to do it, but played some great stuff. United didn't have to do that.
You agree, Jim?
Yeah, I do. When you think United had, less than 30% possession and still go through against a PSG team that cost us as much as it did. I mean, they've been investing in this team purely to win this competition, not to go out to this Manchester United to go out people.
Which comeback would you choose, the Barca 6-1 or this one? I think you said on the show this one's more humiliating.
Yes. Just because of the opposition.
Yeah.
Barcelona are capable at the best of beating anybody by 6. They had their full side out that day. Messi was at his incredible best, along with the other 10.
Yeah. Well, Neymar was very good on that night.
Well, this was Manchester United reserves. This is what this was.
Yeah.
And actually, by the end of it, half the under-21 team was playing as well. So this absolutely was the worst.
Has Stevie changed his opinion on Lukaku after tonight?
By the way, Lukaku was fantastic tonight. No question. He did absolutely everything that you would want. He defended, he picked up good spots defensively, made a difference for them that side of the ball, and then he was on his toes. I mean, obviously getting a dolly after a minute and a half sets you up for the rest of the game. But
Still took it well, though.
Oh, he took it well, yeah. I'll tell you what, if Mbappe had taken his as well as Lukaku did.
So Lukaku's better than Mbappe?
That's what I heard.
In this game?
That's what I heard.
In this
heard
game,
BBC.
absolutely. In this
future,
game,
that's the
Lukaku
future.
was
That's
a
all.
mile better.
Oh, no, that's it. Should Mourinho be banned from ever managing again after tonight? That's right, he's coming to Real Madrid. Oh,
Oh, lovely.
That's a bit harsh. But well, he's going to get some big job offers. I mean, he has been talked about for PSG before,
yeah, that's
as well as
true.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Gone back. But PSG was always muted, and with Tuchel there, you thought, well, it's going to be a little while, but might not be as long as we think. So maybe that's more of a likelihood.
Should Real Madrid go after
Say that
Solskjaer?
again.
Sorry?
Say that again.
I stopped listening.
I have no idea what you said there. I was actually listening. I was like,
Well, he's been talked about with the PSG job before,
Right.
and he's talked about he wanted to manage in France,
right,
and it looked like Tuchel was going to be there long term,
right.
but that might not be the case.
I don't think that's what you said the first time. I'm going to watch this back.
Should Madrid go after
I
Solskjaer
know
to be
what I
their
said.
next coach? He should buy a lottery ticket, shouldn't he? He's loving life. And finally, it's our old friends Roma, who are out.
Oh, God.
By the way, let's be honest. They got done like a kipper in this game. VAR did them with a penalty they lost, and right at the end of the game, they had a stonewall penalty, and somehow VAR decides to say absolutely nothing.
VAR doesn't
that
speak,
is a
you know.
joke, by the way. Well, if somebody speaks for VAR, I mean that's a joke.
The one they conceded was a
Funny.
penalty, though.
I'm finished now.
Oh, yeah.
Aye, all right.
You
What
wrote
did you
the
just
scarf
say there?
away.
I'm going to watch this back.
Okay, we are done. That is it.
Not good for Italian
Today.
teams, only
be
Juve
sure
left.
to join us tomorrow. Some Europa League games as well.
Good.
Tomorrow will be a big story, I'm telling you.
Yeah. We'll get to
On or off the field.